is this place?
We were chosen.
Chosen for what? This planet is a game preserve. And we're the game.
Back in the 80s, when I was just still a toddler, there were these movies called the Predator movies. Well, there was one done in the 80s and then one later in the early 90s. And Predator is a very simple concept, and it's the first one, in my opinion, was more or less designed to be a Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle, which was pit him against somebody who's really strong and watch him survive. But strangely, for the franchise, the concept of the alien took off more than just the Arnold Schwarzenegger star power. So people really wanted to know more about this alien species that they invented for the first Predator movie. And that's what Predator 2 was more for, was to inform the audience a little bit more about the mythology that they invented with the first movie, with the creature. And so that had a different setting, and you had a little bit more going on. The Predator 2 is a kind of a messy film. It's not great. It's kind of cheesy, but it was still, you know, had all of the appeal from the first movie. And then there was some comics written by Dark Horse, and there were some video games about Alien versus Predator, combining the two franchises. And of course, the wait was forever for fans to finally see an Alien versus Predator film. They did that in the mid-2000s, and they are terrible. Some of the worst movies I've ever seen. Alien vs. Predator specifically, the first one, would be in my top 5 worst movies ever made. My expectations for this movie, the bar was pretty low. I knew that that this franchise has kind of been soiled already, and that I wasn't as excited about it as I used to be. But I was excited at the fact that they're not combining it with the Alien franchise, because I think outside of a comic book or outside of a video game, it's just hard to make work. And I was somewhat excited about Rodriguez's involvement. Alright, this film is directed by Nimrod and Antal, who you may remember from as the director of the movies Armored and Vacancy, and he did some foreign stuff before that, which I'm not as familiar with. Predators is directed by Nimrod and Antal, but it is produced by Robert Rodriguez, and done at his studio, the Troublemaker Studio. Let's ignore that. Robert Rodriguez's hand is very much in the creative side of the movie, and there are some plays, like Danny Trejo plays a major character, and he's kind of a Rodriguez crew sort of actor. So that kind of gives you an idea of sort of the vision and the style behind the movie, though I do see some of Antal's style in there a little bit, especially the way he deals with ensembles. The general concept is, again, very simple like the first one. The Predators have abducted the most dangerous men alive on Earth and have dropped them in the middle of a predator planet that's very much like Earth. At first glance, first notice, you don't really notice any difference from Earth at all. And none of these people know exactly why they're there. And the main character is played by Adrian Brody, who's kind of playing sort of a more grizzled, sort of badass character. And it's kind of mixed results as far as I'm concerned. I wasn't completely believing his character, but he held the movie together fair enough. And then again, you have Danny Trejo, and you have Laurence Fishburne, who kind of has a guest appearance in there, and and Topher Grace, strangely enough, and those are pretty much the main big actors, and then a few smaller character actors. So about 6 or 7 men dropped on this predator planet, and the predators are there to hunt them. So basically what you have is the most dangerous game, but with predators, which I think for the mythology, for what the franchise has always been about, works really well. My first complaint with the movie is that the setup, though as simple as it is, they spend way too much time explaining the setup. The first about 40 minutes of the movie is just characters confused, and characters saying, what the hell is going on, where are we, and even once they've explained it, they still seem like they have to keep re-explaining why they're on this planet. And you know, I think as soon as the audience understands what's going on, you can stop with the exposition a little bit and just let the movie go. Also, there's about probably 2 or 3 too many characters in this movie, and they spend a lot of time setting up each character and going into the backstory of each character. And, you know, I'm all for character development, but actually, you know, in a Predator movie where you really just want to see gratuitous violence, I could have used a little less character development. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't checked, but I believe this movie was shot digitally, as Rodriguez is really famous for being a huge advocate for digital filmmaking. And I think Rodriguez is a little better at it than Nimrod Antal. And there's a few places, especially early on in the picture, where the shots felt a little cheap, where it felt a little under budget. Secondly, another complaint I would like to talk about is I think the pacing of the movie is a little sluggish at times. There's about 4 or so 5-minute scenes that could have been cut out altogether, and I felt like, you know, when you're watching your DVD and you're watching the unrated version of something where it's not that it's more extreme, they just shove in some scenes that were cut for time, and when you're watching it you kind of realize, those scenes were cut out for a reason. That's kind of how this movie felt like. It was like an unrated version of a better cut movie. There's some sort of indiscriminate editing going on, and there's a few scenes that I thought they thought that they needed that they actually really didn't. And because of that, the pacing is a little erratic. You have really fast scenes and you have really, really slow scenes. And once we get to the middle of the film, to the middle act, the movie really takes off. Once we've killed those 2 or 3 too many characters, and they've stopped with the exposition, and they've stopped with the character development, and just go into the action, the movie really finally feels fun and fresh again, and reminded me why I loved the Predator franchise in the first place. Again, like the second one, they add a little bit more to the mythology, and some interesting new things. I won't give anything away, but we have different types of predators, and that might sound kind of cheesy, but it actually really works, in my opinion. And then there's one really, really cool hand-to-hand combat between a human and a predator, and it's a very quiet, interestingly shot moment that really makes the whole movie worth seeing just for that scene alone. And it comes towards the end of the second act. You'll know it when you see it. So basically I'm saying see the movie. It's probably not my favorite in the franchise. I still think I like the first one the best. But it's probably, definitely, I'll say definitely, better than the second one. The dialogue's better, the acting is better. And though Brody doesn't quite pull off the grizzled badass, he holds his own, and it's not as bad as Bill Paxton from the second one. We'll say that. So, yeah, Predators. Thank you for Robert Rodriguez and Nimrod Antal for making a decent Predator film. And I hope all of you out there go check it out, because this is a slow summer, as I've said before. I'll see you guys next week. We're going to be recording our show on Monday. We'll be talking about Inception and a few other video releases. So I'll see you then. Peace.